What's going on, family? Listen, we've had a lot of amazing guests on the show, and perhaps you may have never ever listened to those episodes. So we wanted to present a new segment called SONWClassic, where we go back, we revisit those iconic conversations and give those full episodes back to you. Sit back and enjoy this week's SONW Classic. Welcome, Michelle, to the show. What's happening, fam?
Hey fam, what's up? I'm glad we finally get to make this happen.
Tell the people about, where you come from, a little bit about your upbringing in life.
In my adulthood, I actually thought I wanted to be a criminal psychologist. So I went to school for criminology and psychology, but my life just completely just shifted. So I was kind of like the first generation to really grow up in the Christian faith. And so I grew up with those values. It was like super strict growing up in the church that I grew up in. And I was like, this ain't it. Like, Lord, there's got to be something different. And so it wasn't until I had like just a personal encounter with God, and he really changed my life. And ever since then, I was like, okay, it's not about the perfection in a thing, but it's about really inviting him into those areas of my life, into business, into my relationships and community and friendships. And so those values were really birthed in the upbringing of my childhood and my faith. Feel like when you are revealed to a deeper understanding of a definition of who you are, you operate differently. Like you do business differently. You show up differently. You recognize the value of what you've got to say and what you've got to produce. College was definitely an option for me, mainly because of my parents, right? Because my parents they grew up in old school, like Puerto Rico, like they didn't have no shoes type of lifestyle. Like, so I get this gift of learning like just like an old school, like just mentality mixed with a modern day millennial kind of vibe, right? And so for me, I really wanted to go to school for them. They don't have anything past like a middle school education. And so for me, it was very important to educate myself. And even though I'm not doing what I went to school for, I learned so many just like work ethic values that I get to apply now, even being a full-time entrepreneur. I still to this day remember the day of my graduation and my mom coming to me and she was just crying, and it was almost like she graduated as well. And so I shared in my accomplishments. So it wasn't, my thing is that it was never even just about me. It was about my family coming with me. I started my YouTube channel back in like 2015, 14. As a military wife, I was documenting my natural hair journey. And then in real time, my husband passed away. And I was like, well, God, like, what do I do with the platform that I've built so far? Like, how do I share my story in a way that is authentic? Like, I don't know. I don't know what life is going to be like. I don't know what my life is going to be like a year from now. I don't know what to do, but guess what? I'm going to invite you guys in because I feel like maybe some of you, although you're not dealing with the same situation or scenario that I am in, I think universally, literally like pain is so universal that I think we can all relate to that. It's like a thread that kind of like brings us all together. I decided to go on a journey of unscripted grief and really me sharing my insights of rebuild my life from losing everything, from a spouse to my money to my home and everything. And now like people get to chart how I've grown as a person and even just as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's crazy. I want to break this down. My guy Mario Armstrong says all the time, vulnerability is the new currency. I want to break this down because I think it was the documenting, the realness of going through something with trauma, with the loss of a loved one, right, and losing a significant other, a spouse, right? Like when that happened, I feel like I'll let you explain it. When that happened for you, immediately, what was your initial thoughts, and then what made you say, you know what, the world needs to see how I'm going to deal with this and how I'm going to become stronger and become, to me, someone that symbolizes strength?
Yeah, absolutely. At first, I was kind of like, I was in such a dark place, right? Like imagine, I was like, I'm walking away from everything. Like, I don't really know what to do from here. Like, how do I continue on with this? And what I realized was that it wasn't that my life stopped. It was that this was a whole new book, not even chapter. This was a whole new book that I was kind of co-writing with my creator, right? Like, I was co-writing this. And so as I was the vessel, as I was the face of telling this story, I had to trust that along the way, on my dark days where I just didn't want to get out of bed, and on my light days where I was like, okay, I'm ready for this. Like, either day, I had to have the understanding that I was made for this. I wanted to actually show people that in the middle of something, there is something still beautiful that you can extract from it. And that's wisdom. And that's what life is. Like, there are certain situations that we go through, whether it's that deep and serious or something like on a lighter note, that really, like, if we can just see the lesson in it, it really won't be as damaging or detrimental as our like first response to it is. If we could just identify, all right, what just happened here? And what am I supposed to learn from this? Like, how is this going to accelerate me or catapult me into the better version of myself?
As you saw your YouTube grow, like, I want the audience to get some advice here. I want them to get secrets. I want them to get the tips. I want them to get, knowledge and walk away from this podcast and be like, yo, this is crazy. As your audience started to grow, what are some of the tips you can give people that have, aspiring YouTube channels right now that want to see that plaque get mailed to them? What are some tips you would give them on how to grow their YouTube channel?
Stay authentic to who you are. That's how you really can create dynamic and unique content, right? That's how when you stay connected to the core of who you are, you could really create some viral content, if you will, right? Or some content that is really going to impact the community. You're not for everybody, but you are for your people. The second thing that is more practical is for those of you who have a channel, who are trying to figure out more data and like when to post and all these different things, look at your YouTube Studio dashboard. The data in there is so key. And ultimately, you got to understand that YouTube is a search engine. You got to understand that. And when you understand that, you will create content that people are actually searching and finding out how that aligns to what you got to say. And how I said in the first point, how you can remain authentic to yourself.
They're asking themselves right now, right? They're asking themselves the question of the show. School's over, now what? What advice would Michelle give?
Do not get overwhelmed with the questions of life, of people, of standards and expectations of other people. Stay grounded in what your goals are. Set your goals, right? And set them to where they're actually humanly attainable. I think that sometimes like we're so hard on ourselves if we don't meet certain goals, but I feel like if you set certain milestones and certain goals for yourself that you can actually track and build and complete, there's something about completing that makes you feel even better about yourself. So even if it's a day after or a month after or a year after you graduate, set those goals, but do not let people overwhelm you with those questions of like, so what are you gonna do? And when are you gonna find a job? You guys can find me everywhere at Love Michelle Anna. That's LOVE, Michelle Anna, and with one A. And my YouTube channel is the same, Love Michelle Anna. And my website as well. And you will find a lot of authentic content. You'll find some beauty. You'll find some lifestyle. And ultimately, you'll find some light in this corner on these social media streets. So I hope that you guys go ahead and follow along. And yeah, like this conversation was so dope to me. Oh, I love it.
Yo, what you think? I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I want to know what you learned. So if you wouldn't mind, would you take a screenshot of you listening to the podcast on your phone right now? Upload to your Instagram stories, tag me at Shawn R. Anthony _, and then let me know in that Instagram story what is one thing that you learned. I love hearing from you, my listeners, thought leaders, former or current students all around the world. Let me know, and while you're doing this, go inside the podcast app, subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and a 5-star rating. Again, this helps us reach more people. And if you want to be a part of this mission, helping us change the world one person at a time, it makes a massive difference by you leaving a review. Thanks so much. I'll see you next week. And remember, dream it, believe it, go out and get it.